So guys, welcome back to the Road to 1 Million in Forex Funding series. A series that I'm documenting everything live here on this channel, all the wins, all the losses, all the trades taken on the way to get 1 million in funding. We go over April's results, how April was for me, and I'll go over the two positions that we took.
I've entered short. I entered short a few hours ago. I was out at the time, so I didn't get the actual recording. I've got the brokerage of me entering the trade, but I haven't shown you on here yet. So yeah, this is the entry, breakdown retest of the 0.382, the pivot. It's looking okay, still very early into the trade, playing daily trend to the downside, as you can see, breakdown lower low, got past these lows, pulled back to the 50 EMA, bearish engulfing, looking for the continuation. Fantastic risk reward on the cards, 5%, so it's worth me taking it.
So guys, Euro Swiss is running nicely. We've just broken the low. Let me show you how it's running at the minute.
So guys, running quite nice profit, around 2%. Full target's about 4%. It says 3.75, but on MetaTrader it's slightly more, about $4,000, which is about 4% of the account. Management plan is obviously I've got in wait because we could pull back. We've made the new lower low, so we'd be looking for a lower high, and then continuation down to target.
So guys, price is just pulling back now to that previous low that I just mentioned.
Guys, so daily's closed, so couple of options. I'm going to be moved to break even, so if we break back above the 1 hour 50 and 4 hour 50, obviously the deeming that this trend would have changed, and we'll be stopped out for break even. What we're looking for is we've broke down new low, made lower low, so if this trend is going to continue into tomorrow or during Asia, we're going to look for the lower high. This shouldn't surpass, shouldn't break above, and then we get the lower high and then continued lower low to target.
So guys, price did in fact pull back. We've just been stopped out for a slight profit of 0.2%. So I'll reflect on this position and share my thoughts. So with regards to my management plan, let me just briefly explain what I do. I like to trail my stop below the previous day's high or low, depending on the direction. So in that case, that position, we're making lower lows, lower highs. So I want to be trading my stop above the 1 hour 50, the dynamic support and resistance, and the previous high. But that means when we broke down, we are susceptible to a pullback. And during that pullback, it will either reject that and continue to then make a new lower low, or it will just stop us out for break even, which occurred in this case. So I usually trail the stop down as the trend goes down, making lower low, lower highs. I'll trail the stop below the previous days by the previous high. Also, for running up above 1% equity, I will look to move to break even because I don't want to be taking a loss if we've been moving in at least 1% profit. So yeah, in this case, it happened to pull back and not continue in the downward trend. It pulled back, rejected, decelerated, but then continued. It didn't continue to the downside. It continued up against us, suggesting that the downward trend wasn't going to continue. And if it wasn't going to continue, it's logical for me to get out of that position. I also took a trade on USDCAD. I wasn't able to film it because by the time I executed and got back home and was able to film it, it stopped me out for break even. So let me briefly show you that trade. 2 seconds, I'll break down that position. Then I'll show you the FTMO dashboard and where we set up for the month, how much return we made, and how we're doing on the FTMO funded challenge.
This USDCAD position, daily, we were overextended at this time. Multiple days to the downside. We had a bullish engulfing, which gave us the breakout on the 1 hour, which is what I liked. The hourly was fantastic in terms of we were trending towards the downside, lower lows, lower highs. We consolidated and broke out and made a higher high. So at this point, I was waiting for the pullback to either the 0.382, usually it's the 0.382 and the 1 hour 50, but obviously there can be a little bit of discretion if the 1 hour 50 meets at the 618 or the 0.5 and it still produces bullish momentum, then I will look to enter that. And that's what happened. We pulled back down to this point. At this point, I wasn't looking to enter, but I was waiting for some bullish momentum to come in. And then we got this bullish momentum. Target was this high. I don't know why it's moved, but yeah, it was this high here for about 4.74%. And we ended up moving into our direction nicely initially. And at this point, like I mentioned with the management, we're running at 1.6%. So I ended up break even in the position, and price just come back and stopped me out for break even.
So overall, happy with that position. The only thing I would potentially, upon reflection, look at with that position, because that was a pullback move, targeting the previous high is obviously a more likely scenario because we're going against the trend. The other trade that I showed was a trend continuation move. So I will be more free to allow that to run. But with that US dollar CAD, obviously I've got to be cautious. Again, with pullback moves, you're going against the overall daily trend. So the optimum target usually is that previous high, which so I could have got out for 1.64%. But overall, happy with that position. Let me take you to the FTMO dashboard now, and I'll show you all the trades, where we're sat at. Just one thing, if you get value from these videos and you're enjoying this content and you're liking someone be raw, open and honest, make sure you like, comment and subscribe. Comment your thoughts, make sure you subscribe, get these videos out to as many people as possible. It will help the channel grow, and we want to share a real journey. I'm loving documenting my journey, helping others, inspiring others, and just showing what it's really like. So yeah, I'll show you it now and I appreciate you guys.
Okay, so when we look at the account, we can see we're currently sat at about 2% profit, 1.98%, so 8% to go. You can see the three positions. It was an extremely slow April for me, really slow. I mean, this technically was in May, but I executed it in April and closed it in May. But overall, for April, it was very slow. A lot of people in the community that I trade with, there were more aggressive positions to take, which did result in winners, but there was also more losses that occurred. So it depends on your style, but for me, it was very slow. There were a few positions that I missed, but like I mentioned, they were very low quality positions, which didn't fit my plan personally. But hopefully May's going to be a lot busier and a lot more opportunity. That was the 1% on US dollar Japanese yen that I'll show you on the journal, but you would have seen in previous videos. Then we had the US dollar CAD break even, and then the Euro Swiss pretty much break even, 0.2%. You can see the positions down here. Euro Swiss pretty much break even. It was like 0.4%, but because of the swaps, it ended up being about 0.2%. And then US dollar CAD break even, and then this one loss. So in terms of the account, we're still looking okay. I mean, look, we're clearly making higher highs, higher lows. It's not a straight line to this 10% target. You know, you start off and you could have losing drawdown, which I had, and then the winners have been bigger than the losses. And this is a nice looking graph in terms of the equity, you know, higher highs, higher lows. So we just got to make sure we're taking high quality setups, trades that are part of my plan, trades with good risk reward, and managing the risk and winning higher than what we lose. It doesn't matter about being correct on the individual trade, because there's going to be trades where you could have a 50% win rate, 55% win rate. But if I know that my losses are a lot smaller than my winners, like in this case, my losses are a lot smaller than my winners. So if I continue at this rate, we could be looking good. We're on our way to getting for passing. One thing I'm going to bring up in another video, but I've just thought about it, is potentially, and this isn't certain, but potentially upping my risk to 2%, which is just going to help me get there quicker. I've got to endure. If I have drawdown, it's going to be more pressure because it's going to be doubled. But on positions, I might be able to get there quicker. It's just a thought. Let me know what you think. I'm not 100% sure whether I will do that. I might just stick with the 1% risk that I've been doing this whole challenge so far. But it's potentially something that I'll think about. Maybe upping it to 2%. And, my biggest drawdown was 4%, which would have been 8% with the 2% risk. So I still would have the account. And because we're in 2% profit at the minute, it's given me an extra position in a way. But it's just a food for thought. Let me know what you think. At the minute, I'm going to stick with 1%. I've just thought maybe I could look to add a bit more risk and see if we can get there a little bit quicker. Let me show you the journal. Again, like I mentioned, about 0.7% return, negative 0.7%. No winners this month, which was surprising. So to manage and not have a 3% negative 3% month is testament to my management plan. To take 2 break evens. Obviously, we had that one loss, US dollar Japanese yen, you would have seen here. And we had the break even on this position, and then the break even on US dollar CAD as well. So far let's scroll back to the yearly results so far. You can see about 6% profit so far for the year. Again, by no means is this fantastic. It's just me getting consistent and improving. I mean, rather than taking a lot of negative 4, 5, 6% months, I'm around break even, and hopefully May will be fantastic and we can have, a 4 or 5% month. But just managing these periods where it's been slower, for me, my style has been quite slow and I've took 3 positions. That is so abnormal. Usually I'm taking around 1 a week, 2 a week, which is about 8 a month. So to take 3 out of the whole month is really, really slow. Like I mentioned, there were a couple that I did miss, which I will reflect on and see how that would have changed my results. But so far, this is it. Being honest and open about my results so far, 6% still for the year. Not fantastic, but we've still got a long way to go. We've still got, you know, a good foundation for the start of this year. You know, what are we in? 1, 2, 3, 4, about 5th month of the year. So we're coming up to half. After this month, we'll be about halfway through the year. And if we can build on this and improve, and this is a good starting block, keep consistent, we should pass the phase 1, we should pass the phase 2, and hopefully we could even get a payout by the end of the year. So make sure you're subscribing, you're staying tuned to the videos, keeping up to date. I appreciate all the support. If you want to support my journey, as I mentioned, and see me document this whole process of me going from zero and funding to $1 million, this could take a while. First step's the 100k FTMO account. We're going to be documenting payouts, you know, wins, losses, everything that I can document on here. So yeah, I appreciate all the support on the videos, guys. And yeah, you guys are killing it. So I appreciate you. And yeah, I'll see you in the next video.